Okay, so quick recap of part one where we did the tables assembly for both tables, nightstands. We just assembled the frames, put the upside down V's on, and also laminate the tops and milled up the bottom shelves. So part two will consist of mainly the drawer build and final assembly of everything, including finish. Okay, so part two here, we're going to start with the drawer build. So we're going to be build two sets of drawers here. So what I did there was took a measurement. So I took two pieces of the width of the two pieces of wood that represent the two end pieces of the drawer boxes, and plus we're going to also minus an inch. So say if it's the drawer opening is 16 inches, we're going to minus 1 inch for the drawer slides and 1.5 inches for the frame pieces themselves. So we'll come out to about 13.5 inches for these boxes. So that's what we're doing here. We're going to cut them up. We're going to mill them to the final thickness and also to the width and length. We don't really have to mill these from a jointer and planer standpoint, but we definitely have to get the final width and final length of these, which we're doing here. Okay, so when I build drawer boxes, I put a groove that's about 1/4 inch in width on the bottom of each drawer box here, of each side and front and back. The back we will cut off. You'll see in a couple minutes here, eventually. But right now, to make them all the same, we cut the groove in so that way we can put our drawer bottoms, slide them in, and you'll see how we demonstrate this in a couple minutes. So we just go through, we just cut each one. We set the height to about 1/4 inch. So it'll be 1/2 inch altogether when we cut up our bottom pieces. We have to add to the length and width of the bottom drawer pieces that we're going to be cutting in a couple minutes here. So here we're just going to go through, cut a groove in each one, get the thickness we need, test it, and then we'll start our assembly. Drawers the easy way. Okay, so drawers, I try to keep as simple as possible, especially on a job I have to kind of get out. Yeah, you could use dovetails, box joints. I've used box joints once, and they're pretty cool, and it's very satisfying, but a little more time consuming, which I don't always have a ton of time. So either way, so I'm going to keep these simple. I'm going to use glue, brad nails, and some trim head screws that will countersink later in the video after we know everything fits and we're good to go. In a couple seconds here, I'm going to do a little bit of a brain fart. It's a silly one, but it's not a big deal. So what we're going to do is make sure everything's square. So I had the tables, or the drawer pieces upside down here. So the groove that I cut earlier is facing upwards. So it's on top, as you can see there. I don't know if you can notice that. So so we're going to use some brad nails. And like I said, some trim head screws, make sure everything's nice and square. And then we put the other piece on the other side. Now, if you see, I'm going to make a little bit of a mistake here when I glue this up. I put the glue on the edge rather than the face. But either way, it's an easy fix. I didn't, see, I can see I'm putting the glue on the wrong side. So I got to put it on the face instead on the edge there. But either way, so we're going to do the same concept here. Then we're going to cut the back pieces to the final height. So we could, then we'll cut the bottom 1/4 inch pieces of plywood, and we'll slide them in. So as I fixed my brain fart here, which is not a big deal. We didn't screw anything or brad nail anything in, but either way. So we're going to put this together. So keep in mind here, if you notice, I'm putting the edges, the two sides, on the ends of the front and back pieces. That way, when they're pulling the drawer open and closed, they're not pulling the joinery apart. In other words, so the joinery is going in from the sides rather from front to back. So when you're having front to back, when you're pulling the drawers open, especially if you have a tight, soft close or something, you can pull that joint apart. So keep that in mind as you're building drawers. Is always make sure your sides are on the ends of your front and backs, if that makes sense. So as you can see, we're just going to brad nail and glue, and then later we're going to put some trim head screws in to fortify it after we know everything fits. So here, like I said, I'm going to cut the back to the final height. So we're going to cut the groove off it. We don't need it for this since we're going to glue this and brad now this on next, and that way we can slide the bottom in without being impeded. Okay, so now we're going to cut this thin plywood for the bottoms to slide right in, and these are the thickness of the grooves that we cut earlier. Okay, so before I put the trim head screws into the drawers, we're going to set our drawer slides up. So these are just basic drawer slides. The client didn't really specify anything very nice, so we're just going to mark out a front, and then this combination square is set to the thickness of the face that we're going to put on the drawer front later. So we still have to do a little milling up for that, even though we have the wood already. It's all poplar, and this whole project is all poplar except for this drawer boxes are pine. So we're going to mark the front so we know that we can put our drawer slide rails into the right spot. And I just use the screws that come with it, and as you see, I had my level on with the magnet size facing the wrong direction, so that's why I fell off. So I just lay these on with a little spacer on the bottom of the drawer opening, and I just make sure everything's nice and level, and use the provided screws and to screw them in. They could also use different jigs here for this. I have the Craig one, which it works okay. I don't really like it as much as some other ones, but there's other jigs you can use to mount your drawer slides or use bottom mount slides. I think they're probably even easiest. But this is just basic. You can even use wood slides if you really want to put some dado cuts in, etc., or put some trim in to do that. But I'm just using these drawer slides, and we're just going to keep it as basic and simple as possible. Just make sure everything's nice and level and secure. Okay, so for the rails on the boxes themselves, what I do, I just laid my drawer box on a level surface, put the slide rails on the same surface, lined up with the front and the bottom of the boxes, and to screw them in. Now that I know the boxes fit and the slides work, we're just going to countersink and put some trim head screws in to the drawers assembly themselves, just to fortify them now that we know we don't have to take anything apart or anything. That's just the way I like to build them. So now we're getting towards the finishing up of this order for the most part. So we're going to we're going to mill up the drawer faces to the thickness that we set earlier with our combination square. We're going to run a chamfer on the edges. Then we're going to use some double-sided tape and the card trick to mount this. Since we're not going to be putting handles on these, the client decided they want to do it themselves. They have handles that they have from old drawers they're going to mount themselves. So I'm just going to use some double-sided tape, and we're going to screw in from the back, but we're not going to set any center punch up or anything for a center hole. They didn't want us even to drill a hole for their mount. So I'm not sure what they're going to do with that. So we're going to put the drawer face on with the cards trick. I'm sorry for the bad angle here. I guess I have my GoPro in a bad spot. But yeah, just put the same amount of cards on each bottom and top and sides to make sure everything's nice and straight. And then we're just going to screw them in from the back with the double-sided tape holding it in place. I can't put the handles on since they're going to use their own handles. So I'm not going to mount the top. Do a little more sanding. But it's still stain everything. Okay, so these are pretty much done. I kind of like the way they look with this natural poplar here, but I have to stain these. So I didn't really get into detail with this. I'm just using some antique white and some weathered oak. I put some weathered oak on first, just a little bit, to give it kind of like the weathered, distressed look, because I did a little sanding after I put some of the antique white on, just to give it kind of like to match something they had in place. So trying to match as best as possible. And we're going to use a special walnut for the top and bottom shelves. Okay, so we're going to use the biscuit joint here to put our slots in for our Z-clips. And these are going to be used to hold the top on. And that this prevents wood splitting over time and lets the wood move. As you saw there, also did a light sanding after we stained everything. So we try to make it like a rough stained looking, match some furniture they had. So here we're going to use the Z-clips, and we're going to countersink and use some 3/4 inch screws to mount these, and this will allow the wood to move over time without splitting on the new joints. Okay, so this order is pretty much done. We're just going to mount the bottoms here, and then we're going to put some polyurethane on the top. This is oil based. We're going to put about 3 coats on and sand in between each coat. And this project is pretty much done. It came out pretty nice. I'm not a big fan of the stain, but this is the matched existing furniture, and the client's going to put their own handles on. If you like this, find any value in this, hit the like and comment if you have any questions. Thanks for watching.